Yes, hi dear kids, again I am back here after 1 week. So, this week I am really excited to tell, even now at this moment also I was just watching, I was getting your homeworks and I was so happy. I was so happy that you all have done your work in a beautiful manner and I am expecting the same in the coming week also. So, let me begin my class of today. Last week, I discussed with factors influencing changes in the distribution of temperature. Today, let me discuss with few more concepts related to temperature. Firstly, diurnal range of temperature. Diurnal range of temperature. Now, usually in the TV, we used to hear to the news. That is, we usually listen to this. The maximum temperature of Kochi. Kochi's maximum temperature is 26 degrees Celsius. And the minimum temperature recorded is 24 degrees Celsius. So what is this? This difference, this is what? The maximum temperature is being given. The minimum temperature is given. Now, in order to get this diurnal range of temperature, we have to know the difference. That means the difference between the maximum temperature of a day and minimum temperature of a day is called as diurnal range of temperature. So, what is diurnal range of temperature, my dear children? The difference between the maximum temperature of a day, one day's maximum temperature minus the same day's minimum temperature of a particular place is called as the diurnal range of temperature. So, how can we know the average temperature of a day? This average temperature of a day is called as daily mean temperature. This daily mean temperature means the average temperature of a day. This is calculated by maximum temperature of a day plus minimum temperature of a day divided by 2. So, maximum temperature of a day plus minimum temperature of a day divided by 2 will give you the average mean temperature or average temperature of a day or daily mean temperature. So, in order to get example, little more clarification, if not if at all, if a question is asked, calculate the diurnal range of temperature. You have been given Kochi's maximum temperature and minimum temperature and you are asked to calculate the diurnal range of temperature. Means very simple it is. You have to minus 26 minus 24 2 degrees Celsius. This is the diurnal range of temperature. In case they have asked you to calculate the average daily average mean temperature or daily mean temperature, that means 26 plus 24 divided by 2 will give you the average daily temperature or daily mean temperature. Changes in temperature, that is fluctuations in temperature, can lead to fluctuations, means changes in temperature can lead to changes in pressure. What do you mean by pressure? When I say pressure, that is you are going to study in 10th standard high pressure and low pressure. This you will be studying in your 10th standard. Changes in temperature can lead to changes in pressure. Changes in temperature can lead to wind changes, pressure changes, then cloud formation, all these precipitation, all these things are because of changes in temperature. Now, next is we will study about humidity. What is humidity? The amount of water vapor or the content of water vapor in the atmosphere is called as humidity. How do you think water vapor reaches the atmosphere? You all know the answer, my dear children. It is through evaporation. What is evaporation? That also you have studied. The process, the water changing to water vapor is called as evaporation. So, the content of water vapor in the atmosphere is called as evaporation. So, there are certain factors which influence humidity. The first one is temperature. The first factor which influences humidity is temperature. The second factor is availability of water. Availability of water. So very simple it is. When the temperature is more, when temperature is very high, evaporation takes place. Naturally, where there is more water, where the availability of water is more, there also evaporation will be high. The next concept that you are going to study related to humidity or water vapor is absolute humidity. Now, what is absolute humidity? Absolute humidity. The actual amount of water vapor present in the atmosphere is called as absolute humidity. Hope it's clear, my dear children. Now you know how water vapor reaches the atmosphere. Now, what is absolute humidity? The actual amount of water vapor present in the atmosphere is called as absolute humidity. Now, there is a limit for the atmosphere to hold the amount of water vapor at certain temperature. Are you understanding what I am trying to say, my dear children? There is a limit for the atmosphere to hold water vapor at certain temperature. So, when at the stage when the atmosphere can no longer hold the water vapor, that level or that point is called as the saturation level. That means little more, if I try to be little more clear. For example, you are very hungry. When you are very hungry, your mom knows what is your limitation. That means in your case exactly 3 chapatis or 4 chapatis you can have. That is your limitation. 3 to 4 is your maximum limit. After that, if 6 or 7 if you are trying to take, that means your saturation level, that is the level, maximum level is 3 and at the most 4. Beyond that, that is your saturation level, that means the limit, that point, that level is called as a saturation level. Same way, that is, there is a limit for the atmosphere to hold the amount of water vapor at certain temperature. And once the saturation, once that limit is over, once the limit is over, that stage is called as the saturation level. That point is called as the saturation level. And this point, at this point of saturation level, the thing called as condensation begins. Are you getting it? What is saturation level? There is a limit for the atmosphere to hold certain amount of water vapor in the atmosphere. The stage at which the atmosphere cannot hold the water vapor is called as the saturation level. And at this point, what begins? Condensation begins. At this point, condensation begins. Now, what is this condensation? This also you would have studied. What is condensation? That is water vapor changing back to water or water droplets. The process whereby water vapor gets transformed or gets changed to water droplets of water. This is the juncture where condensation begins. And now, next concept is dew point. What is this dew point? The critical temperature where condensation begins is called as the dew point. What is dew point? Now, previously I said 4 chapatis you could eat. 4th chapati was your saturation point. That was your saturation point. And that was your level. And now if you eat the 5th and the 6th one, that is 5th one you ate, okay, that is the time where it has come till here. Now, 6th chapati, it starts coming out. You feel like vomiting. Now, if I ask you, which was that chapati? How many chapatis you had? 5 was okay, teacher. 6th one, I felt like vomiting, you will say. Same way, what is this dew point? The critical temperature where condensation begins is called as the dew point. Is that clear, my dear children? Hopefully it should be clear. Yes. Now I hope absolute humidity, dew point, everything is clear. Next concept is relative humidity. Now what is this relative humidity? Relative humidity means the ratio between the actual amount of water vapor in the atmosphere and the total amount of water vapor that the atmosphere can hold. That is called as relative humidity. That means absolute humidity divided by the capacity of the atmosphere to hold water vapor into 100. Hope it's clear, my dear children. That means, once again, relative humidity means the ratio of the actual amount of water vapor in the atmosphere and the total amount of water vapor that the atmosphere can hold is called as relative humidity. And this usually can be measured, and this usually is expressed in percentage, and this can be measured by using wet bulb thermometer and dry bulb thermometer. Now we have to deal with different forms of condensation. Already we know what is condensation. What is condensation? The process where water vapor changes into water droplets of water. Let us see the different forms of condensation. Different forms of condensation. There are 4 different forms of condensation. Different forms of condensation. There are 4 different forms of condensation. The first one is dew. The first form of condensation is dew. Now what is this dew? You all would have seen this. Early morning when you come out of your house, especially in the fields and all, when you just come out, no need of fields, especially money plant leaves and flat leaves, if you see, you can see small bubble of water just sticking onto the leaves. That is called as dew. Now what is this dew? The surface of the earth gets cooled during night, and this will cool the nearby atmosphere also. So what happens? This condenses the water vapor. Let me repeat it point-wise. The surface of the earth gets cooled during night. Is it right or wrong? Ratri samayangalil bhumi tanthirikkum. And this will make the nearby places also to be cool. And this leads to the condensation of water vapor. This makes the water vapor to condense. Now what happens? The condensed water droplets, already water vapor condensation has taken place. Now this water vapor changes into water droplets. So the condensed water droplets will cling on to the cold surfaces during night time. This is called as dew. Is that clear, my dear children? What is dew? What is dew? Once again, let me repeat. The surface of the earth gets cooled during night time, and this will make the near surface also to be cooled, and this makes the water vapor to condense. And what happens is the condensed water droplets will cling on, or clinging means sticking on, will stick on to the cold surfaces in the earth. This is called as dew. And usually dew disappears in the morning. What is the reason? Why do you think dew disappears in the morning? Answer is very simple, because during morning, as soon as the sun rises, evaporation will be taking place. The second form of condensation is frost. Frost. When the night temperature falls below 0 degrees Celsius, tiny ice crystals are formed. This is called as frost. When night temperature falls below 0 degrees Celsius, tiny ice crystals are formed. This is called as frost. And the third one is fog or mist. Money. Yes. The third form of condensation is fog or mist. Money. We have all seen. What is this fog or mist? Tiny droplets of water formed due to the cooling of air. Tiny droplets of water formed due to the cooling of air remains suspended in the atmosphere itself. Is it clear, my dear children? Tiny droplets of water formed due to the cooling of air remains suspended in the air. In the atmosphere itself it will be remaining. And it will be almost very close to the clouds. It will be just in the atmosphere, lower atmosphere, it will be just there itself. And this is called as fog or mist. Now naturally you will have a question to ask. Once again I repeat, what is fog or mist? That is tiny droplets of water formed due to the cooling of air. Cooling of air remains suspended means it will just be here and there. And this is called as fog or mist. Now naturally you will have a question. Teacher, how can we write for the exam? Then if at all if a question is asked, distinguish between fog and mist. Let me explain. I'll give a solution for this. No need to get tense. If the range of visibility is less than 1 kilometer, it is called as fog. If the range of visibility is less than 1 kilometer, it is fog. Then what is mist? If the range of visibility is more than 1 kilometer, if you are not able to see more than 1 kilometer, that means if it is very not at all clear, more than 1 kilometer, if you are not able to see clearly, it is called as mist. Is it okay, my dear children? Okay. Now the fourth form of condensation is clouds. What is this clouds? Condensation of water vapor around fine dust particles. So what is clouds? Condensation of water vapor around fine dust particles is called as clouds. We can see the clouds. We all know, we used to just look at the sky, we can see clouds. How it is formed? Condensation of water vapor. Every time I am mentioning about water vapor, that is what is the thing? Condensation of water vapor around fine dust particle leads to the formation of clouds. So my dear children, with this I conclude. So next class we will be dealing with types of clouds, types of precipitation, types of rainfall. Now here is a question for you. Explain the different forms of condensation. Explain the different forms of condensation. Next question. What is absolute humidity? What is absolute humidity? Question number 3. What is relative humidity? Next, differentiate between fog and mist. So dear kids, see you in the next class. Until then, bye.